Hello everyone and welcome to our comprehensive video report. Today our team is discussing the famous Mexican animated saga Las Leyendas, produced by Anima Studios. Mexico has a very rich history of oral traditions, with myths, ghost stories and legends that have been passed down from generation to generation since pre-Hispanic times. For this project, we decided to interview each other to explore how this movie franchise adapts those recent ancient histories for modern audiences, how it represents our national identity, and why it is so popular.
That is exactly right, Isai. We wanted to deeply understand how the fans felt about its representation of Mexican folklore on the big screen and how these legends connect with our daily lives. To start the discussion, I talked with Hector earlier about his favorite movie in the entire franchise, focusing on one of the most famous myths in Latin America. Hector, we had a very good conversation about the weeping woman.
Yes, we talk about that. The legend of the Weeping Woman is a classic Mexican story that everyone knows since they were little.
Exactly. During our interview, Hector mentioned La Leyenda de la Llorona was his favorite film because it successfully captured the sadness and the tragedy of the original myth. He explained that the setting in Xochimilco felt very authentic and that the animators had done a brilliant job creating a spooky yet beautiful atmosphere in the dark water canals. He also stated that seeing the trajineras on screen made him feel proud of our culture.
I really like the traditional boats in the movie. The story is very sad, but it's also very interesting to watch with the family.
That is a great choice and a wonderful observation. Following that theme of local myths, I had a conversation with Angeline specifically about the scary elements of the movies and the ancient mythology of Safe shifters. Angeline, you shared some really interesting talks with me about the first movie of the saga, which starts everything.
Yes, I remember our interview, and now is a very famous magical creature in our culture. My grandmother used to tell me stories about them.
Right. Angeline told that she had been absolutely terrified by the Nawala when she watched the movie as a child. She started that the concept of which who can take the form of an animal is a very dark part of our folklore. However, she clarified that the comedic characters like the Alebrije and the Sugar Skulls had helped balance the horror and made the movie highly enjoyable for kids. She pointed out that mixing comedy and terror is a very Mexican thing to do.
The movie shows the old city of Puebla perfectly. The tradition ghosts look very scary, but they are also very funny and friendly.
The Shadow Negro rides a big, dark horse. He is a very scary villain who makes bad deals with ambushed peoples.
I agree entirely. Angel stated that Leo San Juan was a great example of bravery and character growth. He pointed out that Leo always protected his friends and his family, even when he was extremely scared of the powerful demons and monsters he had to face. Angel explained to me that the Charro Negro represents the consequence of greed, and here that Leo shows the importance of doing the right thing no matter how hard it is.
Leo gives up. He is a very brave hero who will always help his friends, and in the end, he is a good role model.
That is definitely the best part of his character arc. but the movies are just about ghosts. They also include modern myths. Later in our discussion, I asked Hector about La Leyenda del Chupacabras. This movie is very different because it takes place during the Mexican War of Independence.
The Chupacabras is a famous monster from the 90s. The movie has a lot of action, soldiers, and a lot of adventure.
Yes, it does. Hector explained that he enjoyed this movie because it combined a modern urban legend with real historical conflict. He mentioned that seeing the insurgent army in an animated movie was very surprising. He told me that the writers had done a good job hiding a message about freedom and loyalty behind the story of a monster.
That is very true. And we cannot forget about the amazing secondary characters. I'll take it with Angeline and Angel about Leo's friends, specifically Theodora and Don Andres. They provide lots of the comedy in every movie.
Don Andres is an old carnage from Spain. He's crazy but very brave.
Theodora is a very funny ghost. She loves her cell phone and talks about herself all the time.
Exactly. Angeline stated that Don Andres represent the Spanish influence in our story. Will and Hero noted that Theodora was a parody of modern kids. They both agreed that the contrast between a modern girl from the future and an old Spanish night created the funniest moments in the franchise. They expressed their video games characters, the movies, will be too serious.
I completely agree. Finally, we moved to the topic of real locations. I asked Hector and Angeline what they thought about the historical value of the saga, especially in the movie about mummies of Guanajuato. This movie focuses heavily on real tourist attractions.
The mummies of Guanajuato are very famous in Mexico. The city has a beautiful street and real story that we can visit.
The movie is a great way to learn about the country. Taking a virtual trip to Guanajuato terrain animation is amazing.
Exactly. During our talk, Hector explained that the movies were a fantastic educational tool for children to learn about geography. Furthermore, Angeline added that the franchise preserved architectural wonders that might disappear from public memories otherwise. They both emphasized that this is important to remember our heritage.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone in the world should watch these movies to learn about our culture.
During our chat, Angel expressed that he actively waiting for beginners to watch the saga on streaming platforms. He emphasized that it was the absolutely best way for other cultures to understand the Mexican Day of the Dead celebration. He noted that the movies show the world how Mexicans respect the spirits of their ancestors and celebrate life, so they insist of just being afraid of it.
To conclude, we analyzed all the opinions and we all agreed that Las Leyendas successfully mixed entertainment with profound cultural education. We learned that discussing these folklore topics with each other help us appreciate our roots, our history, and our identity much more.
Thank you so much for watching our detailed blog. We hope you enjoyed it, our report on Mexican legends and the beautiful traditions of our country.
Thank you so much for watching our project. Goodbye.
See you later in the next video.
Thank you for your attention. Goodbye, everyone.